Hark the bardic paladin, who sings and plays again. He tells the tales of glory and weaves a magic story. He'll join you at your table and ask you to share a fable. Heroes of humble origin, villains who must be fought again. No matter their skill or prowess, the people in life are countless. So we pray you heed our request. Enjoy this tale of sidekicks and side quests.
Episode 153, Evelina the Tortle Blacksmith. Welcome to Sidekicks and Side Quests, the Dungeons & Dragons podcast that helps to put humans back into humanity and breathe life into your campaign NPCs with backstory and bravado. That's right, we're building a world, one character at a time. I am your host, Kurt Krenwelge, the Bardic Paladin, and I'll be joining Hank DnDoodles' table in the Levitating Platter. Hello and welcome to another month's exciting episode of Sidekicks and Side Quests, the best unofficial Dungeons & Dragons podcast, in my humbly biased opinion. I've got an awesome new guest for you this month, but before I get to my mystery contestant, you know I have to do it. I have to leave you in suspense with the ad read. This podcast is brought to you by Plus One EXP and their brand new RPG Zine Club. It's a golden age of indie and small press RPGs. For the last several years, Plus One has made it our mission to help new indie creators and small press imprints get their products onto tables worldwide. Our highest goal is to create more sustainable and equitable pathways to getting games made and played. Now we want to take on our most ambitious project yet with RPG Zine Club. What is RPG Zine Club? It is a monthly membership subscription service featuring fresh zines from emerging and expanding creators across the globe. It's our way of inviting GMs, players, and zine lovers everywhere to invest more intentionally in the creative community. It's crowdsourced support without crowdfunding. Now, what are some of the features you have to look forward to when you join the RPG Zine Club? Well, you've got monthly releases with 2 20 to 44 page saddle stitch zines. Take your pick from story zines, adventure zines, or get both kinds. You can get print and digital or digital only of your favorite titles. Join the Clubhouse Discord. It's a section of our online community for club members to discuss and play new titles. Get the best prices guaranteed. You can select your frequency of how often you'd like titles, and you can get what you want and only get what you want. If you miss a month, there's no worries there. You can add recent titles to your month's order and get an annual surprise each February after your first anniversary. Get access to special content, including interviews, how to play videos, and special content for Zine Club titles. Do you like free pizza? Fill out one of the RPG Zine Club passports and redeem it for free pizza at events. You're going to get to encounter new and known designers. We source the best voices from across the RPG design community. We curate zines based on community interest and feedback to help you discover your new favorite creators. We are DIE focused. Plus One is committed to championing diversity, inclusion, and equity in our projects. Creators with diverse experiences make our community better. Zine Club prioritizes creating equity for all of our creators. And it's more than a purchase. Your subscriptions will let us invest more heavily in our print partners and provide them with potentially life-changing support by consolidating scores or hundreds of purchases as the club grows. So, if you want more details, please be sure to go to the website rpgzine.club, and this all can be found also by going to the website plus1exp.com. On that website, if you're making a purchase for a beard balm, a lip balm, beard RPG, or whatnot, and you're looking for a code to use at checkout, be sure to use the code Randolph, RANDOLPH, and save some coin on your purchase. Again, the website to get the discounts from me and provide a kickback to me to help support the podcast would be plus1exp.com with code Randolph. And be sure to go and check out the brand new rpgzine.club. All right, so now that we've left everyone in suspense long enough, I turn the microphone over to my guest and I ask, hello, mystery contestant, would you care to introduce yourself, tell us who it is that you are and what is it that you do?
Hi, so My name is Hank. I run a channel called DnDoodles, and basically I doodle D&D tabletop characters. I like to do live drawings. I do, character portraits, that type of stuff.
Very cool. I mean, our audio only audience can't see that, you have a magnificent beard, you're wearing a white t-shirt, and you're named Hank. And so, and with the recent zeitgeist news of like, oh, the new season of King of the Hill and RIP to Jonathan Joss. But I was thinking of Hank, and it was going to be like I'll draw D&D and D&D accessories kind of a joke.
Well, I am down here in the South. I've lived here long enough to unironically say y'all instead of you guys. So
Okay.
if that means anything to my accolades of being a Hank.
Well, are you in Texas? Because I know I'm in Texas.
Well, I'm on the East Coast.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Like the Florida-Georgia line or something like that?
I've been in North Carolina for 15 years now.
Oh, North Carolina.
A couple of different places in there.
I got some buddies out there in the Carolinas, so nice to know. There you go.
Pretty good place. Very, a lot of stuff to do here.
Yeah, and so the way that as I've mentioned on other podcast episodes this season, I've talked about and lamented about like, oh, because of the implosion of the hobby's collective online presence on Twitter X, and there's been a diaspora to all these other social media platforms where some have like tried to make some things here and some things there, and it's unfortunately having to rebuild. But for me personally, I feel like I'm finding a lot of growing, thriving in Instagram, which is where I stumbled across you. So, maybe the algorithm's doing its trick because it knows that I like to watch reels. If there's any sort of randomized dice involved where it's like, we're rolling for a sandwich, we're rolling on a t-shirt to make a funny, goofy name, we're going to roll for a doodle to make up a character. I was like, oh, this is perfect. So, and you're just starting off on that Instagram. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely inspired by, Roll for Sandwich. There's a bunch of different, there's breakfast sourdough. I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to think of any other ones. Those are the only ones off the top of my head, but definitely inspired by those. And, one thing that I try to, I think, sort of pitch really well, and I use that phrase optimistically because if anybody knows me, I am horribly inequipped to market myself. So I decided to try to start doing this Roll for Dude as a sort of an exercise in, creativity. It's also a way to have some regularity and routine. And it's been really good. I've been posting on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram so far. Definitely seeing the most engagement off of TikTok, and then Instagram. I'm almost at 2,000 followers.
Wow,
kind of insane. Like I remember hitting 1,000.
That's more than me, and I'm a one-man band for sure. So I understand the whole, I don't market myself well. And me being a 37-year-old guy, I'm like, I've got a wife, I've got a kid, I've got a dog, I've got responsibilities and a mortgage. I don't have a whole team that can run my social media. I'm only going to post when I think it's, good for my mental health, or hey, by the way, there's an episode out and stuff like that.
Right, for sure. But it's been fun. I've been seen a lot of new people. I've been trying to engage with people in a way that doesn't feel too, I guess, unhealthy on my end. Try to keep a nice boundaries.
Right.
I've tried to go into this very intentionally with, I'm drawing stuff that I want to draw. I will take requests and I'll take advice and I'll take notes and stuff. But I didn't really want to turn into one of these channels that's just drawing the comment results. Like, oh, top rated comment. I'll draw what you top rated comment was, because you're just going to draw like Shrek boning Lightning McQueen. And, it's like, if y'all want to come here and watch what I'm drawing, that's cool. And if you don't, then, you can keep scrolling. I'm not gonna be too sad about that. But it's been really nice to see, there have been people that have been trying to engage with the, not really lore, but my whole idea with the Roll for Dude was I draw the character, and then at the end I have the little call to action, which is name my dude, which serves multiple purposes. On one hand, I'm terrible at naming things, so it sort of offloads that.
Sure.
And also it's a very direct, hey, please comment on my stuff, without actually saying, hey, please comment on my stuff.
Right.
And then you get some people who like, there's this one dude on TikTok who every single day he'll just have a response that's like, Billy, ... just Billy, or Fred, just Fred. And he's been here like since the beginning. And then there's, you know, other people that like they'll write an entire paragraph of like the
Right.
lore of these, you know, 30-second characters. So that's been really fun to see.
Right. It's the same thing with like the official stick review Instagram I've seen. There's always at least 2,
Oh, are you talking
3.
about the Hey Stick Nation? This is my.
Yes. Hey,
I
Stick Nation,
love that.
here's my stick. And then
Yes.
you'll always see like the top 2 or 3 comments where someone's written out like the wand of ages. And it's like they've statted it all out and stuff like that.
I love that.
Yeah. So eventually we want to get DnDoodles to that point where you post it and then someone's like, Agathar, the Destroyer.
I've actually, I can give you a little sneak peek for some. I've been working on my shops and my merch and stuff because, you know, I want to sell the originals. I want to sell prints. I want to do commissions and stuff, you know. I would like for this to be my full-time job, obviously. I'm not just doing this because I like it. But I've been making these little, like, playing cards.
Oh,
so the idea was I'd do little booster packs. So you spend $5 to get a little booster pack of, like, you know, 3-5 random little cards. And they have, you know, made up stats. It doesn't really matter. But I gave them each like sort of special abilities.
Oh, you know, okay.
This one says flip a coin. Nice. Or, you know, roll 2 d20s, add them together. Roll 1 d6, subtract from the previous value. Math is fun.
Interesting.
So just like making up random stuff. And then part of me is hoping that one day someone will turn this into an actual game, or maybe like use these characters in their own campaigns or something. But for now it's just been a fun exercise. And also merch ideas.
Yeah, and I appreciate certainly, you know, well, one, I do have to say the wizard puppet on occasion is a little bit creepy. I'm like, when, you know, he just pops out and is
unsettling.
Yeah, he's a very unsettling wizard. Yes. Thankfully, he doesn't talk, as far as I could tell.
Not
so
yet.
I'm like, that's a positive. Oh, not yet?
Yeah. I made that wizard with my mother when I was like 5 or 6, maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I feel bad now calling it creepy because it's something that's sentimental.
It's definitely creepy.
Oh, okay.
Both things can be true.
Okay.
But he's just been sitting in my, you know, so I'm not going to throw it away.
Sure, it's sentimental.
My mom passed when I was 11, so you know, I don't really have a whole lot of things left. So I'm going to hold on to this weird wizard guy.
Yeah.
And then one day, I think
he needs a doodle, and he needs his own stats.
Yes. You know, part of me, someone asked what his name was, and you know, if I had named him as a child, that would be what his name was. But he's always just been Wizard Guy, so it's like he doesn't really have a name. And then I realized it kind of feeds into the lore of the name for or the role for dude, which is y'all can figure out what you want to name it and incorporate it into your own headcanon or whatever. And I'm just gonna make the character.
Interesting. So you're going to let the community sort of source the lore. So it's all going to be like competing wikis of like, the wizard guy. And they call him, the Doom Wizard. And then it's very, like everyone's, arguing over it.
It'll be very 40K. Where
the Horus Heresy comes into play. Yeah.
The intangibility of history is part of the lore. I've always found that very interesting too.
But I mean, so first thing, definitely, you know, I was going to compliment the wizard, but I also love that you live by the dice because, you know, the actually rules lawyers, rules as written people would look at some of those tables and be like, wait a minute, a barbarian wearing full plate.
Right.
You know, so some of the combinations where you're like, like a cleric wearing a loincloth, like is this? So no, I love that you're like, you know, again, this whole idea of like, hey, the lore is whatever you want it to be. So it's just like, I'm just rolling for this randomly. This is what it's spitting out. This is what I'm drawing. And you take it or leave it kind of a thing. Yeah, I love it.
My favorite one was I got a fairy wizard with full plate and unarmed. And my immediate first thought was, okay, what if it's a naked little fairy that is controlling a suit of armor? Ooh. And the suit of armor is actually what does the fighting.
Oh, so that's cool.
It's like, you know, sort of Ed and Alfred magical robot not robot, but suit of armor, and
Sure.
then this little fairy with a stupid wizard hat. And those are my favorite types of roles. It's one thing to get a human fighter with scale mail and a sword. It's like, cool,
Sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I want to see a troll warlock with a full plate and a wand.
Right.
It's like that way you can make the armor. It doesn't fit the wand. Like I think I did have a troll with a wand, and the troll is just hanging around his neck like an enchantment.
Oh,
So
okay.
the idea is that he was a fighter. It's not like he's going to use the wand, but maybe he found a magic wand and it enchants his armor, or maybe it doesn't actually do anything and he thinks that it does because he's just a stupid troll, but
right. If it, again, what is it? The 40K lore of orcs being like, if we just believe hard enough, then that bends reality to make it true.
I found a channel recently, if I can find it really quick and shout this guy out. I think it's called Niche Crafts is the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And he has this, he makes these like goblin orc sort of whimsical lore called Goblands. And the lore is that he like finds this mystic book in the woods and he's, constructing these goblins based off of the diagrams that he sees in the book.
Okay.
And the goblins are similar where they have this like super belief magic where things only work because they believe that it works and everyone around them is just left confused as to how this thing could possibly happen.
Right. Kind of like a Nilbog sort of a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I feel like that pretty well segues into the next question, but do you currently or have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons before?
I have a couple times. It's actually been quite some time. The first time I played was in high school, and I was very lucky to have my first DM. I still think is the best DM that I've ever played with.
Mm-hmm.
And he just has a very good mentality about the game, which can be summarized as follows. Player says, I want to try a thing. DM says, well, you can certainly try. So it was all pretty homebrew and pretty, it was storytelling and hanging out with friends first, and then math and character creation second.
Okay.
And I've always, I personally enjoy that much more. I'm not going to be one who's going to min-max and try to, I'm the type of player who I look at my sheet 20 minutes before the game starts, like I feel like I'm probably not the DM's favorite player, but I do sit there in the corner and I doodle stuff as it's happening.
Were you doodling comics of your campaign and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's actually where this whole DnDoodle thing started, which is the main kind of pitch of my business company, art of me as an artist in this specific umbrella of DnDoodles. Mm-hmm. The main thing that I'm trying to do is live campaign drawings. So I've done it a couple times. I've done it for every campaign that I've ever played in. But basically what happens is I establish a sort of visual language of the characters. So you can have, super low stick figure fidelity up to like, the SpongeBob shot where it's like detailed and exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we figure that out, I just kind of sit in the corner and I'm like doodling, kind of turning what's happening in the game into little jokes and little comics. And then by the end of the session, the 3-5 hour session or whatever, you get to walk away with this little comic book. And it was always so rewarding for me personally to kind of pass around these little doodles to my friends, and sit there waiting for their reactions. And it ended up being this really nice, they're almost like notes, you can kind of look back and reference your campaigns, because I always forget what happens.
Sure.
And it's just, it was really fun. And I've tried it a couple times with like friends campaigns to see how sort of scalable it is as a sort of commission business, and I don't think I've ever really seen anybody else doing this specific, quick live drawing D&D thing. I'm sure there's people that they draw their own characters, they're doodling while it's not like I'm the first person who's ever drawn D&D campaigns,
No, I'm the first one who has ever doodled ever.
Yeah. And it's like, you see different YouTube channels and podcasts and stuff. They have their like animated characters and their shorts and reels and stuff. And that's all really cool.
Mm,
And I'm sort of trying to make that more accessible to people.
sure.
So you're not going to get like a super high fidelity animation,
Right. You're not
but
going to get an anime from Hank, but
no,
you will get an authentic DnDoodle from it.
yeah, you'll get an authentic DnDoodle, you'll get a little zine, you'll get a little book, you'll get little comics, and you will reinforce these fun memories that is what D&D is about.
And so when you were playing, what edition was it?
I have played 3.5, 4, and 5.
Okay.
I think I started with either 3 or 3.5. This was back in oh man, I was a freshman, I think. So like 2009,
Oh, okay.
maybe 2010.
Interesting.
And my first character was a Goliath warden named Straight 8 because he was 8 feet tall.
Oh, okay. I started 4th edition. I was in
Mhm.
college by that point, and it was Halloween night 2010. And my first character was a human wizard by the name of Otto von Krieg.
Nice.
And it was very much borrowed off of the Fable protagonist start of like, oh,
Mm.
I'm from the village of Oakvale, but my parents were murdered by bandits, so I went to wizard school
Uh-huh.
to get revenge, sort of a thing.
Nice.
And then from there, I've spawned off doing other things and becoming a forever DM and all that, and
Yeah.
running 5th edition, the 2014 rules. Not that I've had a
Mm.
chance to really sit down with 2024 rules, but I
Yeah.
am comfortable in 2014 rules. And then just nitpicking and choosing like what other home rules or additions or changes to make.
Right. I don't think that I could I tried DMing once. I wouldn't call it a true DM experience because it was a very homebrew one shot. It was a kind of like sci-fi vibe where like I had the party sort of crash land on a moon somewhere, and there were going to be like robots and aliens, and it was okay. I made like little tokens and but there were 12 players. It
Oh,
was absolutely impossible to get anything done.
wow.
So I just kind of gave up on any sort of like narrative of any kind, and then just kind of filled the role of peacekeeper and herding dog. Right?
I see.
I have respect for these DMs who just have like an encyclopedic knowledge of different rules and settings and stuff. It's very having that on the forefront of your mind can really help with the game because you're not having to like stop and hold on, let me look up how to do the thing. You can just kind of keep
But
it going.
also the DM secret is just we make it up as we go along, and then
Yeah.
if there's something we have to look up later, we will
Yeah.
and correct it and with everyone moving forward.
Right.
And I didn't ask this before we got to this question, but it does pertain to this explanation of your history with D&D and forming DnDoodles and kind of like your art style. I don't know, what would you say are some of your inspirational figures for when you're looking at art? Because obviously you look at the doodle, and to me, I'm getting like slight hints of like Frazetta, but maybe I'm also like seeing some Mike Minola from Hellboy or like some other styles like that. So I'm just kind of curious of like, so when people are going to find your Instagram page or your TikTok or your YouTube, like when they see the doodles, like
Mm-hmm.
what sort of vibe are they going to get?
That's a good question. I have a couple of direct artistic inspirations that might not that I like. I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression about what the
Sure.
style of the DnDoodles is, but some of my personal favorite artists are big fan of Zdzisław Beksinski, it's a painter, Polish painter.
Okay.
Also big fan of Kim Young-ji, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was a Korean artist who tragically passed away somewhat recently.
Oh, yeah. So there was the big whole controversy because of the AI training on his comics and stuff, I think.
Oh, I don't know if AI got to him, but I'm not sure. He does these like crazy, sprawling, incredibly detailed landscapes. I'm gonna type his name into the chat so you can look him up if you want.
Perfect.
Yeah, super inspiring. The way that he looks at it's like you can see him look at a blank flat piece of paper
Mm-hmm.
and kind of construct an entire three-dimensional space inside it. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure what happened is he literally drew himself to death. That's what my headcanon is. He never stopped drawing.
Well, another great artist who passed away in Paris, France, who I'm pretty sure James Morrison or Jim Morrison from The Doors is there, because I did remember when I did my study abroad trip, I did go to that. Pretty sure I went to that cemetery, and so I was like, oh yeah, there's the Morrison. Yeah, there's his
Yeah.
grave there in
Damn.
France, in Paris. Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of. Back in high school, I used to go online and just copy art.
Sure. When you're learning, yeah, for sure.
Just so everybody knows, all art is theft, and stealing is okay if you are actually drawing, not if a computer is drawing. But that's a different conversation. Anyway, I was a big fan of Ryan Otley, who did Invincible.
Oh,
Never read the comics. I've only seen the first season of the show.
okay, yeah, I'm pretty caught up on Invincible right now.
Yeah,
so yeah.
I'm a big fan of the way that he does cross hatching and faces and like these hard edges. He works really well with line weight. Yeah, Kim Young-ji, Ryan Otley, Beksinski's up there. Definitely, I take a lot from the thick black and white styles of like the guy who did Darkest Dungeon and Hellboy. Just brought him up. I forgot his name.
Mike Mignola?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because back in high school, I used to almost I didn't draw with color at all until probably college.
Oh.
I almost exclusively did pencil or black and white or ink, mostly because it was comfortable, and also because it was a sort of, you learn how to do values and composition and shapes and shadows and stuff, and then you can start putting in colors and extra fancy stuff. But I wanted to kind of hone in on some of the fundamentals. So for almost all of high school, I would draw with just Sharpies. Sharpies, Micron pens, big pens, just black and white.
And I do have to compliment as well with the DnDoodles, because like, yeah, you do your sketch in pencil, you go over it in like Sharpie, and then you roll for at least 2 colors. And so sometimes you'll get like really wild colors, like, they're not complementary, or they're not, primary colors necessarily.
Or they don't really fit with the character. Or...
Right, but then you shade it, and it almost kind of reminds me of, I know Alex Grobot, I think his name is, on Instagram. He does like the blacklight style 70s-esque drawings of fantasy stuff. And yeah, so some of those color combinations remind me of like you're doing like a 70s blacklight poster or something like that.
Yeah.
So it makes it real cool.
Nice. Yeah, it's fun to I've been figuring out ways to expand the roles, and like, do I want to get more markers? Do I want to do more things? I've been kind of slowly implementing more values or different changes, but I'm also trying to kind of keep an eye on adding too many things, because I'm also a big fan. This is my second art lesson. The first lesson is stealing is good, and the second lesson is restrictions are good. So I really like working almost exclusively with white, black, red, yellow, blue. Anytime I buy a new medium, if I buy a new paint, if I buy a new type of marker.
Like the original Ninja Turtles. Not that I've ever read the original Ninja Turtles comics, but it's like those were fairly like black and white, and then maybe splashes of red and stuff like that.
Because I think restriction, not rules and not hard set rules, because those don't really exist in art. There's no right and wrong way to draw a picture in any meaning of the word. But I think that constraints tend to help with creativity, and they also tend to help with overall, cohesion. It's like, I've never really understood when it's like, I'll see, I watch a lot of, war game painters, miniature painters.
Oh yeah.
And I've recently,
some of them are insane.
Yeah. I've recently gotten into it just exclusively just for me. I don't want to ever monetize it. I don't want to ever do anything for anybody else. I just want to do it for me, because it's fun, because I like tiny dudes and I like Space Marines. Space Marines are awesome. But I only have like 4 colors. I have red, yellow, blue, and then I have a silver and a gold, black and a white, and then I have null and oil. And that's it. And then I'll see these people that have like an entire shelf of like 7 different shades of red and 7 different shades of green. And it's like, that's all cool. And I'm sure you can get a lot of really good colors that I could never get with just these 3 colors. But at a certain point, I feel like it's going to get too messy and too. It's like it's too much. It's too much. Like,
less is more.
less is more. Generally, I've I turned 32 this year. I like a good single player experience with a narrative. I like some open world stuff, but like I have 1,200 hours in Dark Souls 3, and then I only have like 400 in Elden Ring because it's just so big. And I haven't even beat the DLC yet because every time I open it, I walk in one direction because I don't know where I need to go, and then I die, and then I close it because it's like I don't want to look up spoilers. It's too many things. It's just too big. Give me
Any
a
Baldur's
nice...
Gate 3 that you've
I
done?
have, that's a game. The same reason that I never played World of Warcraft, and the same reason that I never tried cocaine. It's because I probably like it too much.
Fair enough.
So I think Baldur's Gate 3 came out when I was already fixing on a different game, and I knew that it was going to just like overtake my fixation. And
Fair enough.
I had to remove that. Same thing with like Helldivers 2. Like everything about that game looked like it would be right up my alley, to the point where I know I'd put hundreds of hours into it, and I need to relax.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of such amazing titles, it seems like it's another good segue into the namesake questions of this podcast. But this show is about the sidekicks and the side quests. So we like to figure out what are the favorite others, background actors, the small players that really help to populate our favorite franchises and games that really make them shine and stand out. So for the first of these questions, who is your favorite NPC or sidekick character? Again, whether they're from an RPG, a video game, movie, film, television, literature, etc. And why is this character your favorite NPC or sidekick?
So I'm going to go with my gut reaction, and the more I think about it, the more true I feel it is. And that is Patches. Patches the Unbreakable, Patches the Untarnished, whatever his other names are. So he shows up in all the FromSoft games. Not only is he bald representation, but I love the idea of this kind of cynical character he's not so cynical that he's removed himself from the world around him, but he's cynical in the sense that he sees and accepts the world around him and doesn't think that it is a good place. So he accepts that and leans into that instead of trying to change it or instead of trying to run away from it. And he often tricks the player in usually pretty funny ways, but always leads you in the right direction. So if you look back, anytime that Patches kicks you down a hole, it turns out that that's where you were supposed to go. And he's also, spoilers for anybody who hasn't played the Dark Souls 3 DLC from like 9 years ago, he is the only remaining, chosen undead or tarnished or whatever, cursed one. He's the only person that makes it all the way to the end of the world, along with you. It's you, Patches, and Slave Knight Gale. They're like the only sort of main character dudes that like make it all the way to the end. And I just thought that was really cool that he's been, he forgets who he was, because he almost goes hollow, but he never fully goes hollow, because he's more like you than people realize. And he also, I love the idea of him taking advantage of players' greediness. It's like, ooh, shiny object. And then he kicks you down a hole because you got greedy and you wanted to take the shiny object. And that's the real lesson of Dark Souls, is don't be greedy.
Yes. Learn how to time your strikes. If something's too good to be true, it probably is.
Back up.
Yep. All right. That's a franchise that I feel I don't have the discipline for. So
fair enough.
But fascinating to hear, and I'm glad to hear that he is your favorite NPC. And then to go along with it, what's been one of your favorite side quest or B-plot elements? Again, whether it's been from an RPG, video game, movie, film, television, literature, etc. And why is this side quest or B-plot element your favorite?
So I was thinking about this a lot, and I don't know if I have a true answer for if it's my favorite, but I will give you an answer for what the first one was and why it is a contender for being my favorite. So my first side quest, and what I think like truly exemplifies what a side quest is the trading sequences in the Zelda games. So
okay.
That was the first time that, like, my first side quest was the trading sequence from Link's Awakening, which is also my first Zelda game. And I like it so much as a sort of side quest idea because it's always on the side. It will always be a side quest. You're just kind of trading things, and you have to wait until you progress in the main storyline before you can find the next part of the next character you have to give the item to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and I also just like the idea of it's like, you know, trading a paperclip until you get a yacht.
Interesting.
Like that, you know, you start with a random object and then you find some character who, like, I remember back in high school, I did a whole drawing of every single sequence. I think you start with, you get the Yoshi doll from the shop in the starting world, and then you give the Yoshi doll to a baby, and then the baby gives you a bow, and then the bow you put on Bow Wow, and then Bow Wow gives you a banana, or I don't remember. It you know, it goes in all these silly directions, and then sometimes you'll see a character who obviously looks like an important character,
Mm-hmm.
and they're sitting there like, ah, I really wish that I had some dog food. And you're like, ooh, I'm gonna come back once I trade this item for some dog food. So
I was going to say, how does a baby have a bow on them? Like, what sort of irresponsible parent?
I think there's definitely a bow in there somewhere. Or no, I'm sorry, not like a bow and arrow, but like
like a hair bow.
Like a hair bow, yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
That makes.
I was going to say, babies going around distributing bows and arrows.
You got to start them young. You know, it's a dangerous world.
Yeah, I was getting. I never beat it, and I watched a friend play it loads of times before I finally found an emulator, and then eventually got my own Super Nintendo copy of Super Mario RPG. But I was getting flashbacks to like Gino is the star who inhabits a doll and then comes to life.
Yeah.
For some reason, that was reminding me of that when you were like, "Oh, a baby gives a bow and arrow," or baby gives a bow and stuff like that in the Yoshi doll. So all the nice little Nintendo Easter eggs along the way.
Right.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey, I mean that's good, and it's a solid answer. It reminds me of some of our other previous guests of the podcast who talked about, like, I want to say Kevin Chenard, who's a voice actor on the Chad Fallout 76 podcast, talking about the coffee side quests in one of the Final Fantasy games. Like, it was very critical that at certain points in the discs or whatever, you bought the coffee and you took it to the guy, because then he gave you like the legendary weapon or whatever it was you were looking for. So those side quests, that little random tchotchke that you buy in the shop, you never know when it will come in handy.
It's true.
That's what games have taught us.
Yeah, for real. And that's why I collect so much useless junk.
Yep. That's why nerds are inherently good collectors of tchotchkes and random things.
Exactly.
And then the way that we round out the personal interview section of the podcast, Hank, what are you passionate about and why?
So I just put art and storytelling. I appreciate art. I'm going to say mostly for personal reasons, like I think if I never made money off of art, if nobody ever saw my drawings, I would still do it. It's like, it's therapy. It's getting ideas out of my head. It's, something to do with my hands, right? It's a skill to learn. I like getting good at things. I'm also a very visual person, so it helps me process things sometimes. And storytelling, I just, that's kind of my biggest thing with the D&D is, and the most enjoyment that I get out of it is when you can see that, or when people realize that it's communal storytelling. It's improv with math, right? Like they tend to be much more rewarding for everybody when people kind of go in with that mentality. And that doesn't mean that you have to be, a thespian, and you have to, but it's like, we're all on the same page. It's not me versus the DM. It's not me versus the other players. It's, hey, let's hang out. Let's figure out a story. Let's make up, and I love, as much as the world tries to make it very difficult to do so, I love people, and I love connecting with people, and I like telling stories. I like telling jokes. I like repeating jokes. Good times.
Good times.
So yeah, that's my passions.
Excellent.
And propane accessories.
I'll tell you what.
Dang it, Bob.
All right. And now that we've had a chance to learn some more about Hank and DnDoodles, it's time we head into some NPC creation. And NPC creation is brought to you by you, our podcast audience, and our patrons from Patreon. So now is the time of the show where we give a shout out and a loud hurrah to our comfortable patrons and above. So, hurrah! Cheers!
Hurrah!
So to you, Anson Jablinski and good old mom and dad, we say cheers.
Salud.
Yes, got the Shiner Bock Prickly Pear, the seasonal. So very good. Yes, all these fine folks I named, the comfortable levels, the $2 level that gets you the shout out on these monthly episodes this season. But all these folks I named are wealthy tier level patrons, which means they get to introduce an element of chance to our random tables. And we might get to hear some of their responses used here today. So if you want to learn more about all that the Patreon and Ko-fi, which is a separate thing, but this is the Patreon part, so we talk about Patreon. So if you want to learn more about Patreon, just go to the show notes below, go to the podcast website, or just go directly to patreon.com/sidekicks and sidequests to find out more about our 4 tiers of accommodations. Help us to grow and expand all that we have going on at the Levitating Platter in this demi-plane and worlds beyond. All right. So this is the part of the show where we get to make up a character. We have a doodler and we have a forever DM. With the two of us and our powers combined, surely we can make someone really interesting tonight. Yeah, something beautiful. And so, I think you said that you wanted to completely randomize a character tonight. Maybe it's a combination of both of our tables, or what are we thinking?
Let's just go with your table. I want to be as uninformed as possible.
Okay, you want to be free.
Yes.
All right. Free fallen.
Free from
as Tom. Yes, free from have our constraints, but also be totally free in our constraints. There we go. All right, so the first thing we have to do is name our character. So unlike, your reels where we name the character at the end, we name the character at the beginning. So if you want to roll a D20 with your dice, then we can...
Ooh, I got this dice today.
There we go, yes.
Ooh.
A D20 roll. Let's see what we get.
I got a 17.
17. All right. Well, your answer was provided by our previous guest, Dr. Emily Friedman of Auburn University, who does all the scholarly write-ups on actual plays and stuff like that. Evelina.
Evelina.
Yeah, Evelina. Evelina.
Nice.
Okay. So then the next thing that we roll for is the ancestry of the character. This is where we have a very extensive list. So this is where you roll 2d10s for a d100 effect.
Let me get my die. Okay, here we go. These are 10s, right? I can read. All right. Ready. 51.
51 as I scroll down the list. Oh, here we go. A Tortle.
A Tortle?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Hell yeah.
There we go. Okay, so Evelina the Tortle is what we've got so far. Let's see, the next question. What is the job or role in society that Evelina the Tortle has? This we roll just a regular D10.
I'll roll 1 D10. Got a 6.
A 6. All right, your answer was provided by previous guest, Jacob Prince.
Thank you, Jacob.
Journeyman Blacksmith.
Ooh. Yo, that's already cool. Turtle blacksmith? I'm already 100% on board.
Well, Evelina joins the roster of the, at this point, I think at least 4, she may be the 5th blacksmith that's been made in the 6 seasons of this podcast. So if you ever need a blacksmith character, you can always come to this podcast. We've got one for you, for sure. You got your choices. Okay. And then let's see, what is the age range of this Tortle? If you want to roll a D8, that'll give us the age range.
Got a 5.
Midlife. So we have a middle-aged Tortle named Evelina. That's a journeyman blacksmith. So perhaps, I don't know. I think if I'm not mistaken,
journeyman is like Greenbeard, right? Like your newbie.
Yeah, so it's like you're getting started on your blacksmithing journey a little bit later in life. But yeah, with these details in mind, now this is where we come into your wheelhouse of expertise. Can you describe the physical appearance? We have Evelina, we have Tortle, we have journeyman blacksmith, and we have middle-aged. So when you have all those details in mind, what are you picturing?
So immediately, first thing comes to mind with a blacksmith with a turtle shell is to throw random cracks or nails or pieces into the shell.
Okay.
Maybe she's got like, I don't know, maybe there's because you also want to kind of think of the scene around them. So she's got like a bucket of water somewhere. She's got her flame belch.
Yeah, she's got her furnace. She's got
Furnace,
her bellows and her anvil.
Yeah, I'm picturing like snapping turtle vibes too.
Ooh, okay.
Or like, I had a turtle as a kid. It wasn't a box turtle, but it was like one of these like spiky, pointy nose turtles. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's what's coming to my mind so far.
Okay. And then let's see.
And she's older.
And I was forgive me, I was just trying to Google here in the background more about journeying blacksmiths, and just seeing, like, for example, this centerhistory.org saying, learning the iron working trade by apprenticing to a blacksmith. Once qualified following a 7-year apprenticeship, a smith generally became a journeyman. Okay, so
Yeah, I think it's after apprentice, but before like master.
right. Okay, so Evelina, even though she's middle-aged, she's like just fresh into her career as a blacksmith.
Yeah. But still competent.
Yeah. I was curious if you had any ideas, or if you just want to leave it open to whichever DM or player character decides to stick Evelina in their backstory or the campaign or whatever. Who was her master that she apprenticed under, and then what's she been up to? Like, is she like working in a major town? Is she out on the boonies, or like in the woods or the swamps?
I don't know why, but in my head, she is outcast and ostracized. So maybe she's just blacksmithing for the sake of it, and there's like a pile of unused, brand new weaponry around this like little hut in the swamp, and she just keeps making stuff for an army that doesn't exist.
And I know you were talking about like something about like cracks and like stuff like that in the shell, and maybe that happens a little bit because of the nature of the work. I was thinking of, or I was reminded of Joe Manganiello's Tortle, like death cleric Tortle character that had like stuff done to the shell. So we were talking about a blacksmith, and I was wondering if there was oh, was there like a need because of like some major injury happened to my shell? And because, as you know, with real life turtles and tortoises, like an actual shell of them is actually like part of their skeleton and physiology. So if something bad happens to that,
it's not like a t-shirt that you can change.
Right, exactly. So I was wondering if like the whole reason maybe why she became a journeyman blacksmith is like because she's like, oh, I have like something's happening to my shell, and so I'm literally having to like put stick pieces of like
together.
Patch it together with like bits of iron and rivets and nails and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, do you do a lot of shoeing horses? It's like, no, my shell's falling apart, so I'm just having to like heat it up and go and like hit it into my shell.
I like it.
Yeah, she's got like rivets, and so if she ever did like a shell attack, it'd probably hurt a little bit extra because she's got like metal bits,
it hurt both parties.
Yeah, like studded leather, or like like a little oomph to the shell.
Right.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right. Yeah, and then is there anything else that you can think of as far as physical description wise?
Well, I started the sketch, so if anything changes, I will keep you posted.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Oh yeah, so Hank is actually in the process of doodling the character that we're making. So hopefully you'll be seeing this later on an Instagram reel. It'll look very cool and amazing and everything.
Absolutely.
So
all of the above.
All of the above. So yeah, it's cool to get to hear like this is the audio part of it, and then you'll get to see like the finished product over on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube when all is said and done. Perfect. Okay. And then so we got an idea of the physical appearance. And then to kind of help us with the role-playing aspects of the character for whoever's going to use Evelina, if you had to pick 3 adjectives to describe Evelina, what 3 adjectives would you use?
Quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Obsessed.
Okay.
And loyal.
Interesting. And does that have to go back to like what you were saying, like, oh, she's in the swamp, she's making all this stuff for like an army that'll never show up?
Yeah, I'm playing off of that half-baked headcanon.
Yeah.
Because that was the name of my band in high school.
Half-baked headcanon?
Just kidding.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad band name for a high school band.
That's full circle going back to repeating jokes.
Yeah.
Feel that one. You can just throw it in anytime. You just say, oh, that was my band name in high school.
Okay. All right. I like that. And now this is the part where I get to say, and now we get to go back to some dice rolling. So we like, and this could certainly inform the doodle as well. We like all of our NPCs to have something cool on their person. So what's going to be a valuable item, piece of lore, secret, or ideal or concept that Evelina would ascribe to? This is a combination where we get to roll a D4 for the category and then a D6 for the particular thing.
Nice. I will roll the D4 first. 3.
Okay, 3 is going to be a secret.
Ooh. I won't tell anybody. And 5.
5. Okay, all right. As I take a look here, this response was provided by our previous guest, Glyza Champion. So Evelina is a twin, and your twin has tasked you with replacing them in their current life because they have been summoned away.
Ooh.
So this is a pretty big, juicy secret. So so tell us more. What does this mean?
Well, that's funny because I'm also a twin. So that's
you are
serendipity right there. Well that begs the question: is she Evelina or is she good Alina? Is she the other twin?
Oh, do they have like a very similar sort of naming convention, or do you just leave it up?
Joke okay, evil and good Alina.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, if you have an idea for the name of the twin, or you just leave it up to the DM or the player, whoever's going to use this character, to be like, oh, and then that's the name of the twin.
Right. I like it.
Okay.
So she replaced her twin as the blacksmith, or is she tasked with replacing the twin and she's actually a blacksmith? Like, is she faking to be a journeyman blacksmith, or is the twin the blacksmith?
It does say here it's worded as you're a twin, and your twin has tasked you with replacing them in their current life.
Gotcha.
Because they've been summoned away. So Evelina is posing as the journeyman blacksmith, or is the journeyman blacksmith, but originally it was her twin who was the blacksmith of this hut. And so Evelina is keeping up the guise or the premise by, all right, I guess I'm just going to keep making armors and weapons and whatever else because that's what my twin was doing.
Yeah, because she's loyal, like I said in the last question.
Okay, yeah, so she's loyal. So she's loyal to her twin to the end.
And maybe the twin is like, maybe they come from some royalty or some type of like important family, and she had to get called away, and she doesn't want to. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this like blacksmithing all this equipment? Is it proportional for like Tortles or just like everyday adventurers?
Right.
Like other humanoids that could easily use it and stuff.
I like the idea that she's just making whatever she has materials for. So she can make stuff for giants and halflings and everybody in between.
Okay, and then would that tip off? So if you allowed for, or if a DM or a player or whatever introduced this character, would that give them a chance to like be able to roll like an insight check to be like, wait a minute, like the real Evelina that I know would only make stuff this particular way, but this Evelina is making stuff for like halflings and giants and like all other weird sorts of stuff. Like, what's going on here?
Or like,
is that a way to get a peek at the secret?
Yeah, they can tell by like how many times the steel was folded if it's the real Evelina or not. Something like that.
So do we think the twin here that we've got is a good journeyman blacksmith, or do you leave it up to the whichever campaign she ends up in? Like, oh, if she's been doing this for a while, yeah, she's actually good. Or like, oh, this is a fresh thing. Maybe she's a bit clumsy and doesn't quite have this figured out or whatever.
I think that she is competent at worst. So maybe she has like some really good stuff every now and then, but generally speaking, it's mostly serviceable.
Okay.
It's like B+ tier.
Ooh.
Equipment.
And now another question. Yeah. Because we've determined that the Evelina that we're working with is actually a twin. She had to put, if she has all these like metal plates and rivulets in her shell to make it look like her twin, so she had to do all these body modifications to be a convincing Tortle blacksmith that everyone would know her as, but maybe like upon closer inspection, they're like, wait a minute, your shell isn't actually cracked at all.
Right,
like,
right.
You had to put this stuff on and you willingly did this? Why did you do this? Sort of a thing.
I like it.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that's a pretty juicy secret. Could lead to all sorts of ramifications, depending on perhaps this next question, which is, our supposed Evelina here needs some doing done. And so she's going to offer up some sort of side quest to our players. So what's going to be that side quest that she's going to offer up? If you want to randomize that with the final dice roll of a D12.
Is this the final dice roll? Oh, I got to do it. I was going to come up with something, but if it's the last dice roll, I got to commit.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Oh, that's a 10. I can't read. Okay. Last roll. 8.
All right. Okay. Well, this one was provided by Dylan, co-host of the Kill Every Monster D&D podcast. Assassination of a merchant.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I don't know. Do you think that fits for this Evelina? Does it have to do with like a rival blacksmith or something?
You know, that works with what I was going to say, which is she just needs more supplies. You know, she's you know, holed up in the swamp somewhere and doesn't want to go anywhere. Or maybe travel is hard, or maybe she doesn't want to be recognized because her twin or whatever.
Yeah.
So her relationship with the merchants is very important to her. And that trust is going to be very important. So maybe someone betrayed her, or maybe she wants you to believe that they were betrayed, but actually she's just going after them, after their supplies. Or, you know, it could be one of those things where you're just given a task, hey, go kill this guy, and you don't question it at all. And then you come back and it's like, oh, that was the mayor of Happy Princess Town. What have you done? You know, so maybe she is actually going after a rival blacksmith, but doesn't want you to think that. And she tells you that it's, you know, they stole my shipment.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh yeah, they're the ones that normally bring my shipments of ore or whatever from the mine. And they jilted me, or they stiffed me of some stuff that I was promised. So go deal with these merchants who are like, you know, bringing me the ore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then this is probably another clue or an insight to people to be like, wait a minute, is this how the real Evelina would act? Would she be so, you know, if she's supposedly quiet and loyal and stuff like that, is she going to be so vindictive or bloodthirsty with supposedly needing you to go assassinate a merchant?
Right. Or is she just in doing so?
Yeah.
You're not sure.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we've got the side quest before us, you know, obviously we don't have to plan the whole thing, but the things that we ought to figure out are the rewards for success and the consequences of failure. So for the first of those, what's going to be the reward for successfully assassinating this merchant, whether they be a rival blacksmith or like a metal merchant or ores or what have you? What's going to be the reward from our supposed Evelina?
It's got to be like a cool sword, or like the best sword. I'm gonna go with meteor sword.
Ooh,
like
meteorite sword,
like Sokka's sword from Avatar.
Ooh, there you go. So it's like stronger than like normal metals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe kind of has like the adamantine sort of properties, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. It's like a not like a magic. You know, it doesn't have magical properties, but it's like magical in the sense that it's super incredibly durable and strong. It doesn't have like it can't shoot fireballs or anything, but it's the best sword she's ever made. Let's see.
Yeah, like an adamantine or maybe even mithril. Mithril will be extremely rare as well. But yeah, I could imagine that an adamantine, which I think allows you to like crit, what is it? Like crit on a 19 or a 20 or something like that. Or
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm actually not super versed with like the specific rules of D&D. I know I know the broad strokes and I know how to play the game, obviously, but like if it comes to like specific D&D lore or stuff like that, I am not super knowledgeable.
Oh, well, thanks to the interwebs right here at my fingertips, adamantine weapons are known for their exceptional hardness and the ability to bypass certain damage resistances and immunities. Specifically, they automatically score a critical hit against objects according to 5e tools. This makes them particularly useful for destroying structures or overcoming objects with high durability. While they don't inherently offer a damage bonus against creatures, they can be effective against those with resistances or immunities to non-magical weapons, like certain golems or elementals. So yeah, this certainly would be like so she's able to offer up an adamantine weapon for the party to be able to have. Like this is the best one that she's ever made, and everything else is kind of like standard fare sort of adventuring equipment or maybe even slightly subpar.
Right.
Okay. All right, but then what is going to be the opposite? What's going to be the consequence of failure or refusing the call to the adventure? So like she asks the players to go do this and the players say no, maybe because they're suspicious of like, is this even really the real Evelina? Because this isn't the Evelina that I would know. Or, they get to trying to do this assassination and the whole job gets goofed. And they have to come back and report their failure because, the merchant ran away and made off with all the stuff. What's going to be the consequence of failure or refusing the call to the adventure at all?
I'm going to go back to some Dark Souls inspiration and just say that if you refuse or if you fail, when you come back, she's just dead. And you're not really sure why.
Oh.
So maybe the merchant was onto her and came and killed her first. Or she just had a heart attack and on her own and just happened to die. But that happens
because she's middle-aged.
Yeah. But that happens a lot in Dark Souls quests where you complete the quests or you do something and then you reload the area and the person's just dead. And you're like, no, what happened?
Right. Well, in D&D, thankfully, we have, like the speak with the dead spell. So you'd be able to, so if the DM wants to thread this, this plot more, then you can be like, oh, okay, you cast speak with dead on supposed Evelina. Well, I'm not really Evelina. I'm twin so-and-so. And then this is why I died and sort of a thing. And now that's a whole new mystery. Maybe it has to do with, it relates to the secret of why Evelina, the real Evelina, was called away in the first place because someone was trying to get to her and they didn't realize that, we only got the twin. We didn't get the real Evelina or whatever.
Right. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Intrigue and mystery.
Okay, yeah. Well, that certainly is a good consequence for failure or refusing the call to adventure. You just come back later and it's like,
well, bet you wish you did that. Although I guess you could just take all her swords at that point.
Yeah.
There's just piles of swords and weapons and stuff.
Yeah. But is any of the good stuff? Maybe all the good stuff's already been taken.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. And then we've got optional questions, if you feel like you want to flesh the character out more, or if you feel like this is a pretty good depiction of Evelina, then we can proceed to the next section.
We can keep going because I just started the inks.
Oh, okay. You want to keep going.
Pencil right now if you want to see it. Here, let me see if I can. The audio-only listeners can't see it, but
ooh,
I can see it.
That's cool.
Pencils so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right, so optional questions.
Sure, optional questions. Yeah. So what are the goals and motivations of Evelina as a character?
Let's go deep and existential and say she wants to forgive herself.
Okay.
And tie back to that like obsession and hyperfixation and the strange, complicated family dynamic.
Interesting. Okay. So she wants to be able to forgive herself. So again, with the loyalty, she feels like, she has to do this. She owes her twin to take her place here in this blacksmith shop. I don't know. So now I feel like this opens up a whole thing. Like, we could totally leave it a mystery and then whoever uses this character could really invent what the real story is. I don't know. Do you feel like you want to leave any notes for as to like what she was really doing before she became this journeyman blacksmith in this hut in the swamp?
Nope. Let's leave it vague.
Ooh, okay. I like
Up
that.
to interpretation. Y'all can do whatever you want with it.
Okay. And then as far as these goals and motivations are concerned, how do they affect her general personality?
She doesn't like talking to people or people in general. I'd say that she like does not like people.
Interesting.
Doesn't enjoy the company of other people.
Okay.
So that goes back to, being quiet and recluse. I'm also somewhat channeling the blacksmith character from Berserk, who makes the Dragon Slayer sword, as this sort of like always blacksmithing hermit character.
Okay. Yeah, and again, that may be an interesting sort of a clue in for people who are like, oh, well, I supposedly know the real Evelina, and Evelina was like an old Yoda character, was happy to talk to you whenever you came to visit them, and now this Evelina is like changed, like she's different, like she doesn't like talking to people, she just wants to blacksmith. So different.
Yeah.
I wonder if other people in the sort of nearby swamp town maybe comment on that as a ambient NPC dialogue, being like, that Evelina sure changed. We used to be more sociable. Now just does nothing but stay in her hut.
Like you only hear that if you roll a good passive perception.
Yeah.
You only hear that if you roll a good passive perception, I mean.
Yeah, there you go. So then, well, I mean, it sounds like we answered this next question pretty well, but how does our Evelina normally interact when it comes to different people? Is she the same across the board as far as this not wanting to talk to people? Or is she actually pretty nuanced depending on who she's actually speaking with?
I feel like there's probably someone that she likes, I think that she only talks to people about business. Or at least has only talked to people about business for the last, decent portion of her life.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, I'd say she's like, don't say any words that are unnecessary. Why use many words when few do trick? Right?
Okay.
Not like stoic never says a word, but like does not waste her breath.
I see. So methodical, chooses her words carefully, and doesn't say more than she needs to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, probably up with the ruse of like, I have to be Evelina, I have to keep her identity safe and not let people know the fact that I'm actually her twin and I'm not really Evelina.
It could just be a front for like, the more I say, the more likely someone's going to catch on to me that I'm lying. So I'm just going to shut my mouth.
Okay.
Could be that.
And then, yeah. Does she have any particular accent or language that she uses? Are there any idiosyncrasies in how she acts or speaks?
I feel like she did not grow up around Tortles. Like maybe her and her twin or her family was like subservient to another family and was like the only group of Tortles here, and maybe that leads to her sort of feeling secluded and not connected with people. But I imagine that would, like she wouldn't have like a Tortle accent, or maybe not even speak whatever Tortles speak. Maybe she can only speak Elvish or Common or whatever.
Okay.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, so someone tries to speak to her in a particular accent or language, and then she like doesn't respond, and is like, "Oh, interesting." It's a thing to note about the character. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what impact on the world has our Evelina made? How has she shaped her local area? I guess kind of like a pre-version before she went away, and then how has that perception been maintained or changed since the twin took over her identity?
Right. I imagine that maybe the original Evelina was more connected with the surrounding people, like was still a bit reclusive, but like would go to the store to pick up milk and eggs versus door dashing it. And I'm also trying to think, like, what if... So she's in a swamp. She's constantly blacksmithing and, taking materials from the surroundings and then making a giant pile of metal weapons in the soft, swampy area.
Mhm.
So, what if it's like you see this big pile of swords and battle axes and stuff, but then if you look underneath the surface, or if you dig it all, you realize that it goes a lot further down than you thought, and they've all just sunk into the swamp water, and maybe there's like a sort of load bearing layer of useless weapons underneath the actual geography of her swamp.
Oh, interesting. Like part of the house is collapsed into the swamp. And so the
Yeah.
fact that she's literally just like, instead of like going out there with like timbers and stuff like that, she's just like, I'm just going to make this, this battle axe and just throw it over there in the water,
Yeah.
add it to the pile in the hopes that it like helps to settle the ground or whatever.
Right. And then she has to throw it on the other side to like balance it out.
Interesting. So the floor is weapons, is what we're
Yes.
saying.
The whole swamp is swords.
Mm.
Sword swamp.
Do the locals call it that, I wonder?
Ooh, maybe the kids do.
Oh yeah, because they're like, that
like
Tortle just makes all these weapons and they just kind of just start floating everywhere. Maybe some legend grew up about like, oh, the maiden of the swamp and the sword, and if you pull it out, then you'll become a knight. But really, it's just like, oh, this thing's rusted.
And it's like, it's not a lady, it's an old turtle.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a lady, but she's not like a human lady.
Right. She's middle-aged for a Tortle.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I feel like this is a pretty self-explanatory one, but does Evelina have any current problems that prevent her from being a bigger player on the stage? Probably the fact that she's not the real Evelina.
Yeah.
And she's having to maintain this role.
Right. She's bound to her familial calling, if you will.
Yeah. Just all the more mystery as to what was she doing before she got called here? And what is her sister actually doing that necessitated her needing to leave? Like that you mentioned, Avatar and like the Order of the White Lotus and Sokka's meteor sword and stuff like that. So it had me thinking of like, oh, the real Evelina was part of like some sort of like international White Lotus Order equivalent where it's like all these different nations and peoples and cultures represented. And so she got called away on some secret mission for the Order. And then because it's dangerous or it has like world changing implications, it's like, oh, we can't let our enemies know that we're doing this. So
right.
Here, twin, you weren't doing anything, so become me. Sort of a thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Yeah. Or, like this twin was having some sort of hard life and then was like, real Evelina used it as a purpose or a chance or an excuse to be like, okay, my sister needs some help. I'll have her become me for a while and I'm going to go off on this mission or do something. Eventually I'll come back, but like give my sister some time because, twins would know like what the other twin needs, or at least that's the common parlance and saying is like, oh, twins have psychic powers and could just magically talk to each other and intimately know their inner thoughts between each other.
As a twin, I have actually never heard that before.
Oh.
That was a joke.
There you go.
Well, in this case, I feel like magic turtle people could probably do that, though.
Yeah. All right. We've made it all the way through the NPC creation, so I think it's time. We need to head into a random encounter is what we need to head into. So here we go. Random encounter. This random encounter is brought to you by my sponsor, Zencastr. How do I use Zencastr? Well, that's the service that I'm using right now to be able to record my episodes of the podcast. It's what allows me to capture it all, put it into my editing machines on my new computer to get it processed and put forth onto the interwebs and podcast land for you all to enjoy. I was able to take part of this service, all thanks to my buddies Benjamin Huffman and Dane Fox McGraw over at the Dispel Magic podcast. And, if you were at this time in your life wondering what can I be doing? What sort of hobbies or things that I could be branching out to? Well, I'm here to talk to you today about Zencastr. It's so easy. It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen. Knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings at the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. You can sound your best. Have you ever wondered what you might sound like? Well, Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically works to remove those filler words in your recordings, and it makes those awkward pauses in conversation dip out as well. You can set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. It's all in one, so if you've thought about podcasting before and realize that you need a lot of different tools and services these days in order to do a podcast, well, I can assure you that those days are done. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute it to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SIDEKQPodcast, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Again, go to zencastr.com/pricing, use my code SIDEKQPodcast, get that 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. Thank you so much for listening to this ad and for supporting the sponsor. It helps to support the show. And without further ado, on with the podcast. All right, so this is the part of the show where we do a random encounter, a role play scene, a vignette, a little slice of life into the life of Evelina, or the twin, ? But who we know as Evelina. But I think as you're, working on your amazing doodle right now, I think you'll do a fantastic job of role-playing Evelina as well. But the question becomes, who am I going to be in this scene? Am I going to be one of my podcast adventuring characters that stumbles upon Evelina in the shop? Am I going to be a townsfolk that comes through to the shop? Am I going to be the original Evelina that's giving the mission to the twin to be like convincing them to take her place? Or am I this rival merchant? Or I don't know, any other sort of scene that you're interested in showcasing our Evelina in?
Rival merchant's a fun idea. What about if you are either a passing adventurer who stumbles upon her shop, or you're one of the locals who has only ever heard rumors and finally built up the courage to sneak out into the swamp to go see for yourself.
Oh yeah, we could do that. I don't know. What sounds more interesting to you? Would you rather meet one of the podcast adventuring characters, or would you rather meet a townsfolk who's only believe the rumors?
Let's be one of your characters. I'm down for that.
Okay. Well, I've got a whole Rolodex of them, so I'll try and go through them as quick as I can. So we got Duncan. He's the recklessly brave adventurer for hire, happy-go-lucky, no task too daring, no feat too small. He's a human fighter sort of a guy. We've got Sonia, who's the warrior woman. She started off as a barbarian, multi-classed into a paladin who serves a god who wishes to redeem the undead. We have Korak. He's the lawful evil, arcane trickster, roguish dwarf. We have Chrisley, who's the herbalist, botanist, wood elf druid, who then multi-classed into a cleric who serves living memory. We have Orion, who's the astral elf illusionist wizard. We have Agape. She is the lilac-colored tiefling Sorlock. Started off as a wild magic sorcerer, made a pact with Proserpina, the archfey. She lovingly refers to as Prosperina, but her real name is Proserpina. She's a Sorlock, sorcerer warlock. And then we have Life Spell. He is the forest gnome necromancer who has a skeletal manservant named Octavius. And then I think the only other one after that is we have Amberlyn Mithril Shaper, who's a dwarven bard. She's a greenhorn of a bard. She's only been on one other adventure.
Nice.
So yeah, those are the characters that we've made for the podcast. But if none of them sound good, we can always invent a brand new one.
I like either the necromancer gnome or the dwarf bard.
Ooh. Well, I don't know. Your pick.
That's
Do you want to
cool.
hear Life Spell or do you want to do Anne Boleyn Mithril Shaper?
Let's do life spell.
Life Spell. Okay. Would you care for me to set the scene or would you like to set the scene?
You can set the scene.
Where we last left our hero, Lifespell the Necromancer, as well as his faithful manservant, Octavius, they were in the collegiate town where they met up with Sven, who was the professor who was lecturing, and Lifespell had to stand in line to get this very popular jar of jam. And as a reward, was able to get his hands on, a very potent book of necromancy. So Lifespell was very happy to study that. And I think probably at this point, because it's been so long since you've heard from Lifespell, he probably has at least two more undead servants that have shown up. So like Octavius, he's dressed up pretty well with like a cloak and a mask and gloves and shoes to hide the fact that he's a skeleton. But I don't know, since you're a doodler, very curious as far as like your constraint to being undead, if Lifespell has two other, servant staff with him to give the appearance of like, oh, I'm this very important person and these are my servants that are with me. Who are the other two undead with him and how are they disguised?
Ooh. Do they have to be zombies or skeletons, or does it matter?
I mean, undead would be the thing, but probably like, zombie or skeleton would be the most basic.
Okay. I want a Minotaur zombie.
Oh, one of the Minotaur. Oh, a Minotaur zombie or the Minotaur skeleton?
A Minotaur zombie. Well, we can do a skeleton.
Yeah, that's his category because I've used one recently, and so I had to be reminded. Minotaur skeletons classify as a large-sized creature, so this is like big. This is like a big guy. Okay,
yeah, but he's used as like a pack mule.
Okay, I love that. Okay,
so shit. And maybe there's not even anything in the stuff he's carrying. It just adds to the looks like he's an important guy.
Okay, and then probably is just, I don't know, any accoutrement that he's wearing, again, to try to hide the fact that he's undead, because Lifespell's trying to present himself as if like he's a normal person in society, but he's a duttering old man that's like, oh yeah, I use necromancy, but I'm trying to hide the fact that I actually use necromancy.
Sure, so he doesn't want the skeletons to look like skeletons.
Right, so he could have a Minotaur, but like this pack mule Minotaur skeleton, I'm just curious how he's disguised, like probably like a big hat.
Yeah, I'm going to say, first of all, very poorly is how he's disguised. Maybe there's like a large hat and just like a sheet, a blanket to look like a robe.
Okay.
But anyone
he did get some lessons from Kortiki, who was the middle-aged Yeti professional mourner. So he did, because Kortiki has some ties with the Actors Guild. So he got some lessons on costuming. So it's shoddy. It's not the best, but it'll do in a pinch. And it's enough to fool most people that this giant Minotaur skeleton is wearing like robes and like a big top hat or a big wizard's hat. Maybe even presents him as like a fellow mage, but he's like, he's got all the stuff on his back that he's carrying.
Right. But it's exceptionally hard to find stuff that fits. So it all looks sort of ramshackle.
What name does he use for him?
Ooh, Get Over Here is his name.
Oh, he just calls him Get Over Here?
Get over here. And he
I like it. Okay. Get over here, but he says it real fast, so it sounds like, oh, is it like get over here?
Yeah, get over here. Get over here.
Okay. Get over here, the Minotaur skeleton who he treats as a pack mule, and then who's the other undead that he now has at this point?
Let's go with, you know what? I'm going to roll off of my list. How about that?
Yeah, let's see.
I'm going to do a race roll off of my D20. Okay. Got 13, which is a bugbear.
Oh, okay, so another big guy. He's got two big guys with him, and just like a regular skeleton, like a humanoid skeleton.
Yeah, and just a little skeleton.
Yeah.
I think he's compensating for something.
Well, he is a forest gnome, so he's not the mightiest of in stature.
Mm-hmm. And he's very old, you said?
He is an elderly forest gnome. And so is this a bugbear skeleton or like a bugbear zombie or what?
Let's go with a bugbear skeleton, and he's missing an arm.
Ooh. Okay. Oh, but maybe because he's done an attachment or something like that. He's like attached something for where the other arm should be. Because I would figure that in Life Spell would want to like tinker and be like, okay, this is his first foray into being like, what if I did like some sort of like automaton or construct, but also undead sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and what does he call the bugbear skeleton? And what is his sort of role in their troop?
Let's say the bugbear is... He's the muscle. With his one arm. And he leaves the skull exposed, except he makes it look like it could potentially just be a person with like a skull helmet or a skull mask to look scary. But it's actually like, I mean, it's a zombie skeleton, but it's incorporated into the like the robe or the disguise.
Okay.
To sort of compensate for it.
Okay, so he's done a little bit of stage makeup around the skull to make it give the appearance of like, oh, there's actually like eyeballs in there, and there's maybe he put some jewels in there or something like that to give it the appearance of like, oh, there really is something alive beneath it. But like,
it's a person wearing. He's making it look like a person wearing a suit.
Okay, and what does he call this bugbear skeleton who's his muscle?
Slippin' Jimmy.
Slippin' Jimmy. Okay, all right, Slippin' Jimmy. Yeah, it kind of sounds like a Bugsy sort of like a gangster sort of a nickname. Slippy Jimmy. He'll make you sleep with the fishes. Okay. All right, yeah. So since the last time we saw Life Spell, because he got his hands on that book, he now has Get Over Here, the Minotaur skeleton who he treats as his pack mule, and then Slippin' Jimmy, who is like his first foray experiment with between like delving into maybe a little bit of artificery, but not quite. And then also, with his necromancy, I like to think maybe with the one arm, he's got, maybe he put like an arcane artificial prosthetic limb on it. So maybe it's a little bit stronger than like a typical arm. And so that's how he's like the muscle and like, it does like a big punch and it like hits harder than a normal skeleton would.
Yeah.
All right. Arm. Yeah, so he left the college town and he was like, okay, I must, the action was a little too hot there in the town. Let's retreat a bit. And so they went out to the swamp. And of course, things die in the swamp all the time. There's plenty of skeletons to be had out there. So it's been a couple days and Life Spell is realizing that even though he is a necromancer, he still needs sustenance. So he is slowly making his way back to town, but he's got his little troop of undead with him, and they come across this hut. And what sorts of things is he hearing or smelling or seeing as he's getting close to this hut? He's muttering and puttering to himself and trying to order his skeletons about, but something breaks his attention as he catches sight of this hut.
So there's a unpleasant combination of like rotten river smell and burning coal the closer he gets. And you hear a consistent ringing clang of a hammer striking steel. It's very consistent and almost musical. And the hut is very small and humble, and it is surrounded it almost looks like it's on a hill of swords and halberds and axes, and there you can just barely make out a very uncomfortable looking walkway to the front of the hut.
Octavius, look over there. What weapons? What? Get over here. And you, Slippin' Jimmy. Yes, look at all this stuff over here. Wow, look at And so Lifespell is just like, seeing all the equipment, and he's already thinking, because he has his big pie in the sky dream is to have his undead skeleton army. And so he's just like, he just thinks he's just found his meal ticket for like step 1, all the armaments. Step 2, now I just have to get all the skeletons, and then I've got my skeleton army. So this is like, he feels like, his master plan is already on its way. So Lifespell, without any hesitation, he will tell, get over here, and Slip and Jimmy, he's actually going to start ordering them to start anything that's not nailed down on the outside that looks like it's discarded. He's just going to be like, go ahead and just start taking this, because obviously it's just laying around here in the swamp, like it's not doing anything. So he's gonna order those 2 undead to start grabbing stuff, and then he and Octavius are going to start walking into the shop. And so the door opens. I don't know if there's a bell or not, but Octavius is he's making some clanking and bone noises as he's moving about. But he does a big gesture, and then, as if to emphasize, like, oh, here's Lifespell, here's my master. And then Lifespell will just sort of, hello, I'm looking for the proprietor of this shop. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Yes, my name is Lifespell, and you have enough equipment to outfit an army.
Are your friends going to pay for those swords?
What? What? Oh. He looks, and he can see, probably because there was a clear line of sight outside, and so the 2 big skeletons are starting to pull stuff. And then Lifespell will quickly be like, bah, 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 bah. And he's like puttering and trying to make an excuse, but he's like, of course, yes, of course, I thought those were free because they were just outside.
What's your offer?
Oh, well, he's looking over his stuff, and he's like, well, I don't want to get rid of anything super valuable, like my diamonds and stuff like that, because those I'll need for my necromantic spells and stuff like that. But he's like, well, I've been known to do a job or 2. Perhaps I can do you a favor, and then that can be my payments.
She grumbles and continues tinkering and doesn't say anything else.
Octavius, don't be rude. Offer the blacksmith something. And so Octavius will kind of like shudder. And then, probably because Lifespell doesn't, maybe have much need of coin for himself other than for his spells. He tries to live, live very frugally as best he can. Maybe Octavius does then produce a sack of coin and puts it on like the part of the anvil she's not working on. And then sees if that loosens her tongue any.
She looks at him a little funny, almost insulted. And then she looks outside and sees the big skeleton dudes. And then she sees the funny-looking arm on one of the skeletons. And she points towards that and says, what's that made of?
Oh. Well, I got that. It's one of those prosthetic things. Cost me a penny. I think about 100 gold pieces or so in the one place. Yeah, he also tries to brush by it as quick as he can, but he's basically just like, it's just a prosthetic thing I found or got, and my Slippin' Jimmy needed some help because he was born without it, and I am an equal supporter of helping those with the limb differences who need support in their life. Yes.
I'll give you 7 swords and 1 halberd for it.
But Slippin' Jimmy needs it. Surely there's something I can do for you. And then maybe now to show that he means business, now maybe he motions to Octavius. He's like, go on, do the thing. And so Octavius will take off his top hat, remove his mask, and show that he's like a skeleton, like for dramatic effect. And then he puts his mask back on, puts his hat back on. I am Lifespell the Necromancer. And as I said, you have enough equipment here to forge and to make and supply an army. And, well, I have great aspirations for my own army, you see. And I'm not above doing the underhanded deed. So if there's some skullduggery you need done, then perhaps this gnome is the right one for the job.
I'll tell you what. If you want to supply me with whatever you made that arm out of, I can trade you one sharpened edge per cubit of material.
Lifespell will go over to the window and he just basically yells out like, all right, that's enough. Maybe start putting some back. That the negotiations are still a bit in the negotiating phase. And so then the skeletons will stop and then they start unloading all the stuff that they were pulling out. And then they'll just kind of go into an idle, like an idle waiting phase.
An idle animation, yeah.
Yeah, idle animation while they're waiting for the next command. So Lifespell will just be like, I assure you, like if there's, if you need materials, perhaps there's somewhere we can go to acquire these here in these parts.
She grumbles. Tell you what. How about if you can make a pathway from the front of my house to the outhouse on the other side, I will give you 4 swords. And 1 hand axe.
Yeah, Lifespell's going to roll his insight check at this point. And if he does well enough, what is he going to learn about this Evelina? As far as like why she's being so stingy and odd. Well, with him like throwing himself out there being like, I can kill, I can do whatever you need me to do.
Well, he will get the sense that she does not like him very much. She was not frightened at all by the skeletons. And upon looking at the pathway to the outhouse and the age and shape of this poor old lady, he may realize that she actually just needs a consistent, decent path to the bathroom. And she has not had any room to do so for who knows how long, because it's covered with pointy swords and dangerous weapons.
All right, so then Lifespell will lean out the window and he yells at, get over here, and he yells at Slip and Jimmy to basically make a better path. That's what they can busy themselves with. And then Lifespell turns and he's like, there, done. See what I can do, the great Lifespell? Now surely give me some task worth doing so that I might fortify, that I might arm my army that I want.
Well, I will say there's been a merchant.
Oh?
We used to be on very good terms. He would provide me with ash and charcoal from my furnace.
Yeah,
and
right.
I believe that he has been skimming from the top, so to speak. If you could, let's say, take care of that, I may be willing to be more hospitable. She sounds very uncomfortable saying that word.
Lifespell will chuckle and be like, well, why didn't you say so? That's something that's totally plausible for me to do. Yes, and he checks out maybe the other window to see how the progress is going. And it looks like they'll be done here in just a bit. And he's like, all right, boys, finish up with that. We've got a merchant to pay a visit to. And so yes, then he's happy to basically work to get any details that he needs. And he's going to go off and see to this task. But before the scene closes out, Lifespell gets the mission. He's going to go off with his skelly bros and go get this done. But what would be the last thing that we, the audience, would see or hear before the scene closes out?
She says, "Prithee, be careful. I don't want to see me work squandered."
And scene. So there we go. We had a return visit from Lifespell the Necromancer, and you got to help invent some new undead minions for him, which is great. So which they become like their own little characters as time goes on.
I love
so yeah. So what did you think it was like getting to be Evelina the blacksmith Tortle?
That was a super fun little exercise, and I love your little gnomeromancer.
Yes, the
Necronome.
gnomeromancer. Yeah, the
I did.
necronome.
I haven't put the wax seal on it yet, but I do have it completed.
Whoa,
drawing.
That's amazing.
Wait, let me cover up the. Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, all you
This one's
podcast
the
audio
Patreons.
listeners would wish to see this character. Wow. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then this is the part of the show that's called Final Thoughts. So basically, you know, how you thought your time was on the podcast and getting to make Evelina and all that. Yeah, that's what we like to what we like to hear in this section of the show.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like again, I've never really done anything like this before. So it was nice to shake off some role playing rust for sure. You and the viewers can tell me how well I did.
Yeah.
But no, this is cool. I really like your setup. I like that it's like we're sort of collaborating on this big world with all these people that I don't even know and don't know me, and we're all just kind of collaborating on this thing that's all being put together by you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, certainly me and all the other guests of the podcast. And, you know, I'm definitely one to reduce, reuse, recycle, and certainly come from the podcast and introduce these characters into my own game. So I'm happy to use them, and I just hope that other people out there are certainly finding joy and laughter and fun with the NPCs that we're making here to just help make your world a little more interesting and fun and different than just the standard fare, you know, like, oh, this is Baker number 3, this is Town Crier number 4,
Potion seller.
Yeah, potion seller that just like, oh, the next town over, you were wearing a brown shirt in the last town. Now you're wearing a blue shirt. So
just asset flop or flips.
Exactly. Yeah, just reusing the same assets from the last. Hey, these are the same asset files from the last game that I played.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
Perfect. Yeah. So then, yeah. So I mean, obviously, happy to get any final thoughts and feedback and critiques and stuff. But certainly, I want to give the platform, the microphone, the stage, the soapbox to you. So if you want to plug your socials, where can you be found? Where can we support you and help you in your creative new endeavor? And then certainly any other passions or causes that we need to be made aware of, let us know.
Yeah, cool. So again, my name's Hank. I'm a DnDoodles. You can find me most places if you do DnD.Oodles. I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. You can also find me on my website at mccartoons.com/DnDoodles. That's MC Cartoons. And there you can find more information about the live drawing stuff, about the commissions. You can see my library of random dudes I've rolled over the last, I think I did the first one on April 18th. So it's been just over 2 months now.
Yeah.
Since I've been doing the roll for dudes. Yeah. So keep an eye out. I'm going to try to start the live drawing stuff soon. That's going to be really cool. I got plans for trying to make like a sort of commercial video pitch for it to post and see who bites.
And there we go. Wonderful. So Hank, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be a guest on my podcast and for being a guest on the show and making this great character. I can't wait to have you back on making even more interesting doodles and NPCs.
Oh, I would absolutely love to. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sidekicks and Side Quests. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast through Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Overcast, or YouTube, or feel free to save the RSS feed to use the app or player of your choice. Visit our website, sidekicksandsidequests.com, for links, write-ups of the NPCs, and to learn more about the show and the guests who have been on it. To stay up to date and interact via social media, you can follow the podcast on Facebook, Instagram/Threads, Twitter/X, and Reddit by searching for Side KQ Podcast. You can also find our small Discord community as well online. I would love to talk D&D and showcase your fan art, stories of how you used our NPCs, discussions, and commentary. And hey, if you'd like to hail the bard and send me a message, an email, you can do so by communicating with sidekicksandsidequests@gmail.com. To help this show be the resource it's meant to be, I ask that you leave a review on iTunes, 5 stars please, to help spread the word and share our podcast with your friends and family. Whether you're a veteran player or an aspiring dungeon master, there's something here for everyone, and I want to hear about it. As mentioned in the NPC creations section of the podcast, I do in fact have a Patreon for Sidekicks and Sidequests. If you love this podcast and what we're trying to do here, I would appreciate it if you would just go to the website, patreon.com/sidekicks and sidequests. No matter your lifestyle expenses, we have wonderful rewards at every level of Patreon membership tier. Modest, comfortable, wealthy, and aristocratic accommodations await, and we welcome all patrons to the Levitating Platter. Seriously, your financial support allows for this passion project to continue to invest in itself through the tools that will take our production to the next level, as well as provide more content for our patrons and the community at large. Please consider supporting me on Patreon if you can.
Sidekicks and Sidequests is unofficial fan content permitted under the fan content policy.
Meaning I'm not approved or endorsed by Wizards.
Portions of the materials used are property of Wizards of the Coast.
Copyright Wizards of the Coast,
LLC.
Thank you for your support, and I'll see you at the pub next time.
Bar to rock on 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.